Now, rogue traders. Double glazing's a wonderful thing, isn't it? It acts as a filter. It lets the light in without letting the heat out. If only there was something more effective at letting money stay in your home and keeping dodgy double glazing companies out.
There are two types of people in this world. In fact, there are more than two. There are 7, but for our purposes here, just 2.
Look at this guy. He's trying to sell, shoes. He calls people up on the phone out of the blue to sell them shoes. However, when he comes across someone who doesn't like getting cold called, somebody who's registered with the Telephone Preference Service, or TPS, then he doesn't call them. This makes him, relatively speaking, a good person, even though he occasionally uses a disposable plastic stirrer. Over here, however, this person doesn't care if you're TPS registered. She will plough on and call you, trying to sell your shoes to meet her target. This person is perhaps not as good a person as this person, even though she never uses a plastic stirrer.
Plastic stirrers aside, if you think about it, the people who sign up to the TPS, the no thank yous, are often those who need the most protection from cold callers. But that hasn't stopped Approved Green Energy Solutions, or AGES, of Halifax from ringing up people who've asked not to be rung, offering them a free, no-strings-attached energy assessment, which turns out to be anything but.
We've had this letter in from the daughter of a couple who are TPS registered. She's so concerned about what's happened, she doesn't want to appear on television. But the story's very straightforward. Both of her parents have Alzheimer's, so cold callers are an absolute no-no. But that didn't stop AGES getting in touch and arranging a home visit and then selling them £8,000 worth of double glazing. Sarah has power of attorney, and yet the first thing that she knew about this was when a concerned neighbour got in touch. Shocking.
The same thing happened to Pete Cole's mum and dad.
They're now in a care home in Farnham. My dad is in his 80s. Dad has dementia, Alzheimer's.
When one of Pete's brothers visited his parents last August, he found AGES were busy installing 26 new windows.
So how much were they charging for those windows?
Over £8,000.
Wow, so that's a big job.
They weren't even needed in the first place. My parents moved out of that house into a care home literally within weeks of these windows being installed. So why would they want windows when they're moving out, you know?
Pete's parents have no recollection of agreeing to new windows.
He doesn't remember how Ages got in touch. He couldn't remember at all, or who came round even.
So the whole process, the selling of it, which there must have happened, maybe somebody even in their house, is a complete blank to them. No memory at all.
No memory at all. It turns out, we found out through trading standards, they cold called my parents when they shouldn't have done, because they were part of the TPS. But nevertheless, they made an appointment, went to see him, convinced him he needed the windows, and my dad agreed it to it, obviously, but he doesn't remember any of it at all.
It was only when Pete involved trading standards that AGES agreed. His parents had paid nearly double what they should have, and they were refunded part of the money.
I was devastated, really, really upset that someone could do this to vulnerable old people. Just like, how can they do this?
The way AGES have been targeting their customers has come to the attention of the authorities, particularly the Information Commissioner's Office.
In fact, just a few weeks ago, AGES were fined £150,000 by the ICO for making over 400,000 cold calls in a 17-week period. That's more than 3,000 a day. And get this, around 80% of those were to customers who were TPS registered, just like Pete's mum and dad. You know what that means? I very do much insist. Come on, pack it up, pack it in. Let us begin.
And we will begin at the top. Who is behind the business? They've made it pretty hard to find out, as they aren't a limited company and they don't operate from their published address. But we can confirm it's run by the Goldthorpes. This guy is the head, Alex Goldthorpe. He signs the cheques. Michael Goldthorpe ran a very similar glazing company called Swift Green Energy Solutions Limited, but they were wound up in January, owing more than £3,000 in unpaid debts. Adam Goldthorpe is the appointments manager, and Barry Goldthorpe has signed off emails. He has a colourful past that involves a prison stint for embezzling cash. Now we want to see if the Goldthorpes provide us with a Gold Star service. So we've got a house in Gloucester with windows. They're not perfect, but they are, well, see-through, and they do not need replacing. We've called AGES, and we're offered a free energy assessment. They're on their way, so you don't have to wait ages to find out what happens next.
I'm Gary from Approved Green Energy.
Approved Green Energy Solutions of Greetland, Halifax will be knocking on our perfectly acceptable UPVC door in just a few minutes. You'll be amazed. Your expression, double glazed.
Now, you know...
Now, Approved Green Energy Solutions, based in Halifax, Yorkshire. They say they can keep out the cold, but you'll struggle to keep out their cold callers who use the telephone preference service as a doormat on the way into your home. That's exactly where they're headed now, posing as a government-approved domestic energy assessor. That's dodgy for salesmen.
Stewed Sandra has booked a free energy assessment survey with AGES.
I'm Gary from Approved Green Energy. Come about your survey.
Gary, did you say?
Yes.
Do come in then.
Thank you very much.
You'll hear the sound of breaking glass when Gary's talking out of his sphere of knowledge.
Settling down to watch what happens is Simon Levy, a chartered surveyor with a laser and 34 years' experience in the business. Doesn't take long for the sound of breaking glass to smash out.
People tend to think nowadays, because they've got double glazing, they're energy efficient. It's not always the case. It's supposed to be updated every 25 years.
Does that sound right?
No, I don't agree with that. If double glazing is well maintained and there are no faults in it, there's no reason why it can't continue.
If you haven't got energy efficient glass in your windows, you're going to be losing far too much heat through the glass.
I see.
By changing the glass into your existing frames, you can save yourself up to 60% a year in your heating bills.
He can't possibly make that statement without considering the whole. One would have to assess the energy performance of the walls and the frames in which the glass is fitted.
So he's focusing on the glass, but in fact what you're saying is you need to look at the house as a whole.
Gary is talking a whole lot of nonsense. Next, in our free survey, Gary tells Sandra about a government scheme which could contribute towards making our home warmer and more energy efficient.
So do you have a limited pot of money? Or...
Of course we do.
Yes.
Yeah. We are only allowed to fund 2 properties per postcode. So we do 6 in GL1, but out of the 6 that we do, the energy companies will always turn around and say, right, well, we'll fund that one and we'll fund that one. The others can get lost.
This free assessment is starting to sound as if it's going to cost us, particularly as government funding for schemes like this doesn't exist. Next, Gary gets scientific and tests the heat loss from our windows with a special gun.
You're losing 62.7%.
Oh, my God.
That one's losing 62.2% heat. And that's losing, as you can see, 60.6. So they're all very, very high.
Yeah, well, these...
Terrible news. What does this mean, Gary?
Because that, at the moment, because you're losing over 50% heat, it's giving you an E rating.
Well, that's not good, is it?
No.
How could he assess that? A percentage of what? I really don't think he's able to say this at all. It's really a complete misrepresentation to say that.
So, we have an E rating for heating, but Gary knows how to improve this rubbish score. We just need to change 4 windows and 1 door panel.
So you can see the improvement you're going to be getting going from an E to an A+.
Well, yeah.
Massive, massive improvement.
But what if you did these, then? What would that make me go up to? Would I...
You'd go up to an A+ because that's what the latest glass is.
Even if it was only done on this floor?
Yeah, because this is the only one that you'll be heating.
So, Gary, let me get this straight. even though we have a 3-storey house with 10 rooms, changing some of the downstairs windows and heating just one room will take us from an E to an A+. Are you sure?
There is no prospect of that being achieved at all in this house.
He tells Sandra she needs 7.5 metres square of glass.
So your 12-month guaranteed price is $4,297.
Horrendous. A ridiculous price for that service.
But hold on, Simon. Gary's still got to apply the imaginary discount.
Oh, that's quite... I can offer you in funding, believe it or not, £2,147 towards the cost of it.
That's half in a way.
Yeah, it is actually, isn't it?
He sounds surprised at his own bogus maths.
Yes, 50% off, but still nearly double what it should be if we needed it, which we don't.
So, at the end of the free assessment, it's a sales pitch to buy £2,500 worth of pointless, unnecessary, overpriced glass. Sandra politely declines an on-the-spot sale, saying she wants to talk it over with her family.
Speak to your son about it.
I better...
I couldn't care less. I really couldn't, because it's not my money at the end of the day. No. If you don't want the funding, I'll give it to somebody else.
Oh, cheers, Gaz. She checks what would happen if she changed her mind and did go ahead with it tomorrow.
If I wanted to go ahead...
It's going to be $4,297.
Yes, but I only pay the $2,000.
No, you would pay $4,000 because the funding comes with me, because I'm going to give the funding to somebody else this afternoon.
Oh, that was really horrible.
Yes.
There you go. No pressure from me or anything, you see. We don't put pressure on people. We're a decent company. We've got over 6,000 happy customers. So it says it all, doesn't it? You know.
It's a very nice Sauvignon Blanc.
Gary's off. He didn't get the sale, you see, despite all that pressure during the free assessment. Now we can see through AGES's glazing fibs. Other vulnerable customers might not. So we want to test out their promises. On 3 occasions, AGES told us if we did go ahead and buy the glass, we'd have 14 days to change our minds.
Everybody has 14 days cooling off period.
I don't want to...
So the very next day, Sandra calls AGES up and says she does want the windows after all. Lucky for her, the discount is still available.
That's fine.
Wow.
That sounds really good. And I know...
She pays a £500 deposit. Again, she's told not to worry if she changes her mind.
There is still the 14 days if need be, isn't there?
Of course there is. Every company has to give 14 days.
It's a good job because Sandra's so indecisive, she does just that and calls to cancel just 12 hours later as she's been told she can. AGES said she'd have her deposit back within 3 days. But she never does.
Yes, trust is a fragile thing, and AGES are like a bull in a China retail outlet, smashing it to pieces, left, right and centre with their broken promises and pressure-selling lies. Well, it's time for the bull to stop, as we pay a visit to their shop in about 10 minutes. Thank you, Steph. Back to rogue traders, and AGES have a habit of calling people who don't want to be called. They offer them a free energy survey, then pressure sell them thousands of pounds worth of unnecessary double glazing. They're in the frame, so let's start the game.
It's run by Alex, Michael, Adam and Barry Goldthorpe, or the Goldthorpes. Some of them ran a previous company, Swift Green Energy Solutions, that did the same thing before. Neither they nor AGS are whiter than white.
Oh!
Unlike us.
Yeah? OK. The point is, this is Yorkshire, good, honest Yorkshire, and yet there's a group of guys down there that don't want to play by the rules. The rules are very straightforward. Unlike cricket, someone doesn't want to be called, you don't call them. That's it. How's that?
But that's not the only reason we're stood in a field dressed in cricket whites. A few weeks ago, AGES moved into a new office right next to a cricket ground. So our cunning disguise should allow us to get a little bit closer. Using our pretend courier as a decoy, we lure Alex Goldthorpe, the boss, outside.
Hey, Alex. Matt, all right, BBC Rogue Traders. How are you? So at the stage where people tell you through the TPS that they don't want to receive calls, they don't want to receive calls from people, why do you then call them? Yeah, why do you have a call centre? Why do you have people that are calling them? Yeah. Hey, why do you have people that still call them to let them know? Hey? Why do you have people that continue to call them? And why is that then you've got £150,000 ICO fine from them? Is that why you've moved premises, Alex?
Please notice how AGES's staff are still wearing T-shirts of the previously dissolved and complained about company.
You still got the Swift T-shirt?
Yeah.
So it's still part of the same business?
No, different
Oh, you just got the same T-shirt?
Different company.
Yeah, because obviously that business, as you know, has got CCJs outstanding against it. How are you? So are you an installer for these guys?
Nope.
You're not? OK. Yeah. Right, so can we just come and chat to... Can we just chat to... Come and chat to Alex. Oh, he's in the office there, is he?
Nope.
Who's in there, then? Is it Michael in there? Is it Barry? Or is it Adam? Sorry. Or we could just look through the window.
I'll say one thing about AGES's windows. You can see straight through them.
How you doing, mate? Adam, BBC Rogue Traders. You're the appointments manager, yes? So what we want to talk to you about is the appointments you're making for people like Gary Bacon to go into people's homes, and then pressure sell to them people who have expressed a preference not to be contacted. That's why we have the TPS.
I wonder if you can hear me through the double glazing. Anyway, time to send in the heavies to escort me out the building.
What are you doing?
Well, we're trying to get to talk to Alex or Adam or Barry or Michael.
Fellas, in a physical altercation, let's just go.
Hey?
Yes, please.
So you understand what this business is all about, yeah? That it's pressure selling to people who have expressed the fact they don't want to be on the telephone preference services, yeah? And those are people who could be vulnerable, who could have Alzheimer's, for instance, or could have any number of conditions that mean their relatives don't want them to be contacted by those people. You realise that's what you're part of here, yeah?
I'm not part of anything here.
You're not part of anything? Well, we don't know who you are, do we?
No, but I've been asked to remove people from the premises, not like
Yeah. What, physically, if needs be?
Meanwhile, at the other end of the building, our cameras spot the rest of AGES's employees escaping through the back door and driving off.
That's the current operating premises of AGES. These are the guys who are behind the business that is possibly cold calling your relatives, despite the fact that you may have gone to great lengths to insist that that doesn't happen. Quite simply, it's not cricket. Right, guys, shall we? Now, AGES told us they take these allegations seriously and are thoroughly reviewing their sales operations. One member of staff has been suspended pending investigation, and they will do what they can to resolve the problems raised.